Welcome to Smart Study Tips, your go-to channel for clear, engaging video explainers that make studying easier, exam prep smarter.
All right, let's talk about poetry. For a lot of us, it can feel like a secret code, this really intimidating art form. But today, we're going to demystify the whole thing. You know that feeling, right? You're staring at a page of words and just thinking, what am I even supposed to do with this? If that sounds familiar, don't worry, you're in good company. It can feel like you've been handed a puzzle without the picture on the box. So, let's flip that idea on its head. Instead of just reading, let's think of it as investigating. From now on, you're the detective. The poem? That's your case file. And every single word, every line break, is a potential clue. Now, every good detective needs a case. For our investigation today, we're going to look at a poem that's super short but incredibly powerful. This is our main piece of evidence. So, let's open the file. Here we go. We Real Cool by the amazing Gwendolyn Brooks. Just let that sit for a second. It's short, yeah, but trust me, this is our mystery. These few lines are absolutely packed with clues about who is talking, what their life is like, and maybe most importantly, where it's all going. Okay, so what's the first thing any detective does? You don't start dusting for fingerprints right away. Nope, you just survey the scene, get the lay of the land. In poetry, that just means looking at its shape on the page. First, a little detective lingo. The most basic building block of any poem is the line. You can kind of think of it like a sentence, but it plays by its own rules, which is what makes it interesting. And you know how sentences clump together to form paragraphs? Well, lines in a poem do the same thing, and we call those clumps stanzas. They're basically the poem's paragraphs, little visual chunks of text. So, let's apply this to our case. We Real Cool is just one single stanza. And the lines themselves, they're tiny, right? Just a few words each. And that simple observation, bam, that's our very first clue. Okay, we've surveyed the scene. Now it's time to pull out the magnifying glass. We're going to look closer at the poem's language and, just as important, its rhythm. This is where we find the really good stuff. Now here is probably the single best tool a poetry detective has. Read the poem out loud. I'm serious, it's a game changer. When you hear the words, you start to feel the poem's music, its beat, and that rhythm is a massive clue. And as you listen, you'll start to notice something about the flow. Sometimes a line just spills right into the next one without any pause. We call that an end-jump-ide line. It speeds things up. Other times, a line hits a period or a comma and forces you to pause. That's called an end-stopped line. The poet is basically controlling your reading speed. Now look at our poem again. We left school. We lurk late. See how it just tumbles from one line to the next? It feels fast, hurried, almost breathless. This creates a rushing rhythm that pulls you along, right up until that final line smacks you in the face. Our next clue is something called diction. Now, that's just a fancy word for word choice. Are the words formal or are they casual? Is it slang? Think of every single word as a fingerprint left at the scene by the speaker. So in our poem, we get phrases like lurk late and sing sin. And of course, we real cool. This isn't formal English, right? This is the language of the street. It's punchy, it's cool, and it's got this defiant, rebellious vibe that tells us a ton about who these speakers are. Okay, detective, let's review. We have our evidence, the short lines, that fast, tumbling rhythm, and those rebellious word choices. Now comes the really fun part. We get to put all the pieces together and crack this case wide open. What we're really digging for here is the theme. That's the so what of the poem. It's the big idea beating at its heart. What is this poem really about? The theme, well, that's the solution to our mystery. So here's how we solve it. Let's lay out the case. 1. That super fast rhythm mimics a life lived fast. 2. The rebellious slang establishes that live fast attitude. 3. The constant repetition of we tells us this is all about their group identity. And 4, this is the clincher. That final line, die soon, is the only one that's end-stopped. The whole poem is like a speeding car that slams right into a brick wall. So there it is. All the clues are on the table, and they all point to the same conclusion. We has everything we need to finally close this case and reveal the poem's powerful message. And here's the solution. It's absolutely brilliant. The form of the poem perfectly mirrors its content. The quick, breathless lines reflect a life lived in a rush, a cool, rebellious life that ends abruptly, tragically. The way the poem is built is the story. And this leads us to the biggest question of all, doesn't it? What is Gwendolyn Brooks trying to say about this kind of life, about how to live? This isn't just a picture of some pool players. It's a deep and honestly a heartbreaking commentary on the consequences of that path. So, case closed on We Real Cool. But the goal here wasn't just to solve one mystery, it was to give you the tools to become a poetry detective in your own right. So let's quickly recap your new toolkit. It's actually pretty simple. First, ask who the speaker is and what their tone sounds like. Then, hunt for the theme. What's the big idea here? After that, look at its structure, the lines, the stanzas, the rhythm. And finally, inspect the language, the specific word choices. If you ask those 4 questions, you can tackle any poem that comes your way. Because that's the beautiful thing about this. Every poem is a new case file, a new mystery just waiting to be cracked. You have the tools now. So the only real question left is, which mystery are you going to solve next?
Thanks for watching Smart Study Tips. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more easy explainers to help you ace your exams. And leave a comment with any concepts or topics you'd like me to explain in future videos. I'd love to hear from you.